how many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. However, there may be some new developments, but I don't know if they are linked to your mother. We have found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. I'm afraid she was brutally murdered, stabbed several times.
I can't believe it. We bumped into each other last night on our way to bed.
Yes, I know. Duchess Hillsborough informed us that she accompanied you at the beginning of the evening. You apparently bumped into Miss Adams, who wanted to speak to you. We are told you turned her away, and she went away on her own.
That's correct.
Do you know what she wanted to see you about, by any chance?
She seemed upset about something. I thought she was under the influence of alcohol, but we didn't really speak.
Pity. The poor child was probably trying to find help.
I thought it could wait until tomorrow.
Apparently not. Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why's that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, You've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Carmelite water will give me a little reprieve. The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
Waldo, what you want, Waldo?
I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
What you want, Waldo?
I'll be in touch as soon as I have any more information. Which four-letter word could open this chest? Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming. Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say. One last thing. You must know that Peru hit young Adams on the evening of our arrival. He apparently violently attacked her in the small salon.
Do you know anything else about the attack?
Oh, unfortunately not. I arrived too late to intervene. Young Miss Adams had already been submitted to the foul lout's rat. Otherwise, you can believe me, it would not have happened.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
Lord Mortimer must have informed you of the necessity for everyone to remain in their rooms until further notice.
Certainly, but I'm a guest, not a prisoner. I was looking for a servant, since we don't all, unfortunately, have one at our disposal.
Yeah, right.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're no better, and, unfortunately, your brothers and I are absolutely snowed under by the work required to govern this new country. Please excuse us. As soon as we can get free, even if it's just for a day, I promise we shall come and see you. Your loving father, John Adams. P.S. Don't hold it against your mother. She still isn't ready. Please don't judge her. I'm sure you'll be able to put all of this behind you one day. Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. A notebook written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. It looks like a mixture of medieval Latin and Anglo-Norman. It is difficult to make sense of this jerky writing. I can make out some passages, though. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing. June 11th, 1791. My dear Elizabeth, your last letter gave me much cause for concern. Your words were so cold, as if emotions no longer matter to you. Father maintains that the secondary effects of your treatment still trouble you, but that they will soon subside. Should I believe him? I cling to the belief that we shall soon see each other again, at long last, right soon. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. Don't forget to tell me what present you want. August 24th, 1792. Elizabeth, I am driven to despair and doubt there is any point in writing to you. I'm not even sure you'll receive my letters. Father controls my correspondence more and more. I am certain he filters our exchanges. Thankfully, one of the chambermaids is able to help me get my letters to you. But they still remain unanswered. I often think about you and pray every day to be able to hold you tight. We have so much time to make up. I beg you, answer me, please. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. That horrible woman came again yesterday. She spent a long time speaking with Father. I didn't understand everything because they spoke in French, but I'm sure they were talking about you. November 1791. My dear sister, the cancellation of our reunion hit me like a stab to the heart. Father told me it was for your well-being, but I can't help but blame him. He claims that your condition has worsened and that it could be dangerous for both of us if we met. If only I knew where you were, believe me, I'd be at your side. I haven't received any news from you in a long time. Please write. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. I hope you like the enclosed talisman. A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. The color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room? A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Large quantities could knock out a bull. Could Elizabeth have been drugged? If the body wounds are anything to go by, then clearly not. She put up a fierce fight. Pentagram. What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual? I wonder if Elizabeth's death has anything at all to do with this pentagram. If a ritual went wrong and degenerated, Elizabeth would probably have been killed in the center of the pentagram, not 3 meters from here. That's strange. Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. She had the Sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. Symbol of Masons? What's that doing here? Ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what? I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. The wounds are clean and look like they've been inflicted by a sharp object. Some of the lacerations have damaged vital organs, the heart, the right lung, which is perforated. Most of them weren't given with much force. She might even have survived. But the stab in the heart, though not all that deep, sealed her fate. It looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. Let's see. No trace of sexual assault or rape. The blade is short and thin, well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. The handprint on the handle is really small. I can't imagine a man with a hand that size. It must be from a woman's hand. Knocked over bottle of wine. What kind of plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Briand. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. Knocked over bottle of wine. I know that smell. It's laudanum. It must have been mixed with the wine directly in the bottle. Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate...
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
President George Washington. Map of Vermont. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. Portrait of George Washington. It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role on the world stage. I understand your reluctance of playing with fire. I know your new country is very young, but rest assured that I would do nothing to jeopardize what we have built together. I look forward to seeing you soon. Your friend, William.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes, she came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened, and I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry, countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
That's me. Duke Manuel Godoy. Duke Manuel Godoy. Duchess Emily Hillsborough. King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess. Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to understand this painting choice.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language in all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least une partie of it.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours, E. T.S. The French chapter of the Order doesn't appear to know anything about the arrival of our friend Sarah. I therefore cannot comment on it. However, my guess is that she has come here for personal reasons.
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds, painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting. Mrs. Cersei. A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with Her Majesty the Queen, would you please be so kind as to ask her to look into my petition to raise taxes with the King? I will personally see to it that our nation will recover from this impasse. But King George's mental situation is slowing down our decision-taking. Thank you in advance for all your help. William Pitt, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Two coils circle the lock.
Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell.
A letter from William Pitt the Elder addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you enough for looking after him. You know the latter's preferences, and you will understand he needs you desperately. For that, and as agreed with Queen Charlotte, our friend Duke Hillsborough will carry out his task and meet with you within 6 months. From then on, you'll be free from want. Yours sincerely, William Pitt, Count of Chatham.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Death came quickly. You can be assured of that.
If such a senseless act can happen here, then none of us is truly safe anywhere. Lord Mortimer must be mortified that one of his guests could have committed such an act, don't you think?
He is indeed very upset about it. It's only natural after such a violent murder.
Violent? What do you mean?
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times.
Oh my God, Louis. How awful. The murderer must have had a serious grudge against her to set upon her like that. It must have been a crime of passion. Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I'm now interviewing all the guests to establish the alibis for each person. Just so I can cross you off the list of suspects, can you tell me what you did after leaving my room?
You know, the easiest way to find out what I was doing last night would have been to invite me to stay, Louis. But I shall answer you. I simply went back to my room and then to bed. On the way, I stopped off for a brief chat with President Washington about some business that concerns both of us.
Very well, then. Thank you, Emily. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte. Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but visions of horror in my room? And he gets victory after victory? The Battle of Alexander at Issus, or how Alexander the Great triumphed over King Darius. Yet another one with delusions of grandeur.
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you to join us in January on my island to participate in the High Society meeting organized for the occasion. We shall be able to continue our discussion about our project for a new order for France. I have a proposition to make to you concerning your wish to put a strong leader at the head of France. I trust you to be discreet as to your coming. See you soon. Lord William Mortimer.
There's just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him. My dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. We are obliged to go into hiding and are unable to remain in the same place for more than 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted us soon. Make haste, my son. You hold our destiny in your hands. Your loving mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte.
It's a beautiful weapon. A Levi Damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaget as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight, so I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really. No. Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you. Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
I've been studying him for a while now, and I don't think he was lying. Yet, I'm surprised how easy it was for me to read him. It must surely be his military side. I wish they all could be like that. My investigation would be finished already.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day. Sir Jacques Peru?
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
It's never too late, sir. If you have something to say, now is the time.
You don't understand. Everything's already written. It's over.
Why is he behaving like the perfect culprit? What is it that's already written? I'm not sure I follow you.
No, you don't.
Pattern with 4 circles. The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests. Great, honey.
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. A boat will be waiting for you in Calais and will take you to Dover in England. From there, a carriage will take you to the port of Tintagel, where a frigate will be waiting for you and other guests, so you can meet up with me on my island as quickly as possible. I await your arrival. Lord William Mortimer.
Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris.
It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris, and there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around. Golden elixir. I'll keep it for later. A pattern with 4 circles. Dear Monsieur Peru, I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. These funds will be crucial for the renovation of the western wing of the orphanage. The children you sent are doing marvelously well, and little Pierre will soon be walking. Some of them still sometimes suffer nightmares about their parents on the scaffold, but I expect they will cease in due course. Should you decide to send us more, please note that another 20 beds will soon be ready. The children and myself will never thank you enough. Long live the Republic. Long live France. Sister Marie-Hélène.
I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later. I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself. Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
Two days ago, I surprised you having a go at Miss Adams. What happened? Did you want to give her another beating? She wouldn't let you push her around again, huh?
Shut up, you little shit! You have no idea what happened, and here you are, carping away. You think you're Investigator of the Year. Have you taken a look at yourself, de Richet?
Didn't you get enough beating her black and blue the last time?
I did not!
Go on. Keep going.
Finish what you came to do, then get out of my room.
I know you were at the scene. We will save a lot of time if you just tell me what happened.
You know nothing at all.
Enlighten me then. For now, I have your footprint in a pool of blood.
That's right. The only thing you can prove is one of my boots was at the scene. Congratulations, you've wrapped up the investigation. All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Monsieur Johann von Wulner. The signs of obscurantism. The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever-obedient servant. So, Wulner had a relationship with Elizabeth, but that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult. A table of alchemical symbols. Someone circled the zinc symbol. The alchemist is a young man. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. The signs of the zodiac. Chest lock with a 4-letter code, surely a word close to the owner's heart. Amber crystals. The alchemist is an old man.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Did you see how many tattoos Miss Adams had on her?
Of course. Who wouldn't have noticed?
Yes, but I'm sure that an expert like yourself must have an opinion on the subject.
I do. She was seeking to imprison something inside her. Her own body had become a sort of prison.
She wanted to protect herself. Is that what you're saying?
Elizabeth was a flame, a candle in the night. And like all candles in the night, she was surrounded by darkness, by her demons, call it what you will. One thing is for sure. She struggled against hell and high water not to let her flame go out.
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly.
Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. Please, tell me a little more about the nature of your relationship.
That is a personal matter, monsieur.
Yes, that is true. So, tell me.
All right. It was passion. That's why we couldn't stay together. It scared her.
We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
President George Washington. Monseigneur His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Monseigneur His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Huh, that's me. Duke Manuel Godoy. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
From what I've found out, I believe that my mother is the culprit. Even though I find it hard to accept.
Sarah? But why her?
I found out that there was a long history between Elizabeth and my mother. She had been her personal doctor and had tortured her throughout her childhood.
Ah, and so she could have tried to silence Elizabeth so the truth wouldn't get out and damage her reputation. Well, it's possible. Have you anything else?
I found a piece of fabric that appears to have belonged to her and proves she was present at the scene of the crime.
Interesting. Anything else?
Elizabeth thought that Mother was going to kill her. Difficult to believe in a simple coincidence in light of recent events.
Indeed, it's uncanny. Anything else?
The print left on the knife near the body was left by a slender hand, without a doubt the hand of a woman.
And there aren't many female guests. I see. Anything else, huh?
I think that there's more than enough evidence here.
Indeed, it's very worrying. Everything seems to indicate that your mother is responsible for Elizabeth's murder. Given the distinguished guests and the political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way.
Now that we've examined the question from all sides, maybe you could explain to me why you asked me here, my lord.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
Knowing my mother, she would be the cat.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the cannon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
She was looking for someone.
What do you mean?
In Paris, we were working on a smuggling case to do with occult objects. We had just arrested a dealer who intended to go to you to meet a buyer. My mother was here to find out to whom he intended to sell his stolen treasure.
What was the name of your dealer?
The dealer was called Von Burchard. As for the buyer, he was unknown to us.
No, I don't know anything about that. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
You forget Elizabeth Adams, my lord.
That's true. But Gregory and I arranged it so that they wouldn't run into each other. I thought it had worked. Do you think that your mother felt she was in danger because of Elizabeth?
It's possible.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
You're speaking of Grigory Alexandrovich Potemkin?
The very man. The little devil behind the mother of all Russians. Since his death, I know absolutely nothing of what the Tsarina is up to.
Oh, really?
Ah, yes. I didn't mean to shock you. Please forgive me. Let's just say that, in my position, it is often advantageous to know about the habits and customs of world leaders.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Mother lulled my childhood with tales of the Crusades. How Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus had to battle it out to achieve their ends. And how Guy de Lusignan, having broken his word, launched the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Oh, I see Sarah's lessons have inspired new enthusiasts. Good on you, because not everyone can claim they know as much at your age. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room is just opposite Mortimer's study. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is on to us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. What is this disc? Oh, that reminds me of the ones my mother collects. It's magnetic. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. We'll see if it works. It's open.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
A Bazant.
Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Fragment of amber.
Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. The New Testament. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course! There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add one companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness
into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times and a half a time, from the face of the serpent.
Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel.
Here's the angel? What does that mean?
Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note.
There's nothing worth noticing here.
There's something else behind this painting.
It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth.
What the hell does that mean?
A group of pilgrims, if I'm not mistaken, numbered respectively 12 and 14 in the last painting. With the simple operation suggested, that would mean that the new groups are 6 and 7. Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded?
Ah, look, here's a message.
It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them.
Prussian? Volner? I must have a word with him. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. It says, "Count in the dust." All right, let's do it. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. That's what the message in Hebrew spoke about. Hebrew 8. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned.
Here's a message.
There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's say tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him.
Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust has built up on it. While a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust, I can read the number 4. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? Clearly, she must be trying to do something useful, but what? The nightmare. Does that remind me of anything? Probably has to do with an object or something. Granting that this is the case, where am I to be found? Yes, it's the painting that was behind Mortimer's study. Well, let's see if Mortimer has anything to hide behind his painting. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.